Video is everywhere in communication these days, including on Reels, TikTok, and YouTube, where our students are. Building creative video projects into ELA can help leverage our students' interests in these platforms toward building skills in research, storytelling, speaking, and building arguments. Not to mention skills within the genre itself, which are bound to come in handy in so many fields. So today, let's dive into video in ELA. We'll cover the best tech platform for straightforward editing and explore 6 different project ideas. Hopefully by the end of today's episode, you'll be feeling excited instead of intimidated to get started with your first classroom video project. Welcome to the Spark Creativity Teacher Podcast, a podcast for English teachers looking for more creativity, more engagement, more joy. And no more scripted curriculum, lesson planning ruts, or boring book lists. I'm Betsy Potash, and I'm honored you're trusting me to help. You're not alone on this creative journey anymore. So let's start with a quick look at the technology options out there. I've done plenty of video editing in iMovie, which is a popular platform, but last year I made the switch to do all my own video work in Canva, and I have to say it is much easier. So it's really a no-brainer for me to recommend it as a platform for your students, especially since I hope they're already on Canva for other types of visual design work. Canva makes it really easy for kids to upload their own video clips, upload and even layer their own audio clips, create design slides to mix and match with video clips, use stock videos, audios, and photos that are available right within the platform, add text overlay, and edit their visuals on the fly instead of having to sort of add in perfect visuals in between their video clips. Students would need at least 3 different programs to achieve those same results via iMovie, and I know because I've used all those different programs to get the same results in iMovie, and it took a lot longer, and the visual editing was a lot clunkier since slides have to be perfect before you can drop them into iMovie. In Canva, you can edit them in the program. So basically, Canva is just simpler and more intuitive, and I would really recommend it for your ELA video projects. Plus, it's free for educators and students. You can access it online from different computers. It's just better. In my opinion, it's just better. If you can get your students on Canva, I think it is the way to go. I have included in the show notes a video walkthrough for how students can design a video in Canva. It's like an 8-minute tutorial to just give them kind of the basic foundational skills, and you can watch it too so that you have those skills as well. All right, so now let's get into some project ideas. I've tried to order these loosely from easiest to most complex. As with audio projects that we talked about here recently, start simple, and as you and your students build up your confidence, you can amp up the complexity of these types of projects throughout the year. Once you've established a baseline of skills, the other nice thing is you can start to provide a video option whenever you assign differentiated projects, and that allows students who are super excited about video to take it further on their own. Okay, number 1, maybe the simplest project. This one is the low-hanging fruit of the ELA video project world, a book trailer project. A book trailer is a fabulous option for a choice reading check-in or the finale of a book club unit because it's so easy to build in a clear, authentic audience. You can have kids create these trailers for other kids, kids in your class or kids across the whole grade level, plus kids in future classes. You can link all these book trailers in one place, either just on a Google Doc or on slides or on your class website or whatever. And then they become a resource for other kids who might want to read the book or who deserve a chance to be warned off from the book if it's terrible. Students know as they create their 90-second or 2-minute trailer that they are actually creating like a useful resource for other students. You can have them record their review as a voiceover. This is a good chance to practice the voiceover skill and then knit together like some visual clips from within the stock videos of Canva, or they can create their own kind of B-roll that's going to go with their voiceover. Or they can try a talking head review if they love, a certain YouTuber that just sits right in front of the camera with a really pretty background and talks about their book. They can do that type of book trailer, or they can create a more visual trailer using Canva design elements and automation and just leave their voice out of it. Maybe they're going to have some text on the screen about the hero and some text about what kind of books their book is similar to, maybe some pictures of the book covers of those books, and they're going to have like a funny GIF that they're going to relate the book to. That would be a very simple option that doesn't require any audio. It doesn't require cutting any video clips together. They would just sort of design slides about the book trailer or about the book and then automate them into a trailer. For this book trailer project, I put a little visual example that you can watch into the show notes, as well as kind of a look at my book trailer project and my book trailer rubric. So this is one of those times when it's probably really going to behoove you to go and look at the show notes to get the full deal with today's podcast. Okay, second idea, just increasing slightly in complexity now. Try a grammar video series with your students or a vocabulary video series. Kids learn so much when they teach other kids, right? I mean, this is something that we know. You have to understand something really well to teach it to somebody else. The other thing is, I always love that idea of giving students an outward-facing channel to share what they've learned with the world, whether it's a podcast or an Instagram feed teaching writing lessons, or in this case, a grammar or vocabulary video series that's going to have an audience. Now, outward facing, the audience can come on many levels. Maybe your students are going to create short videos teaching vocabulary roots or grammar concepts that are just for your students. That's outward facing. They're still teaching other people. It's still relevant. They're not just doing it for a grade. Your other students are going to learn from them and they need that information. But you could also take it to the next level and they could become a resource for the whole grade level or your whole school as a review tool within a hyperdoc that other teachers are going to have access to. Or maybe you'll get the permissions you need and really start a vocabulary YouTube channel that your students are going to run and contribute to all year long, or a grammar TikTok account for the school that is going to be internationally accessible. This can be a really fun way to get students excited about really any type of project when they're going to be making it public in this way. But whatever level of publicity you're going to give that final output, teaching students to create short videos that are going to teach a key concept that you want them to learn anyway is a win-win-win. They have to learn the content deeply to teach it. They're going to advance their video editing skills, making them more comfortable in this extremely useful medium. And they're going to help teach each other these potentially difficult concepts with a content delivery medium that they're likely to find interesting, right? If your best friend makes a grammar video that you're going to use to learn a grammar concept, it's probably going to have content that you find fun and examples that you find relevant, and you're going to relate to it. And it's just going to be a nice experience for the students who are learning from the video too. So if you can break up your grammar content or your vocab content and get the students teaching each other through videos, it saves you time, it helps them develop their skills, and it helps them learn the content. It's great. All right, next up, let's talk about poetry video projects. I'm really excited about this one. It's an easy add to any poetry unit, and there are a lot of different ways to do it that are creative and interesting. It gives students a lot of scope for the imagination, as Anne of Green Gables would say. So you can choose to have students showcase and interpret a poem that they love that's already out there, or you can have them write an original poem that they're going to interpret and showcase through video. Either way, this can be a really fun project. Once they've got their text, the goal is really interpretation. So this video project is a little more creative than the ones we've had so far. It sort of takes it to a different level. They're going to have to not just script the video with the poem, but also sort of storyboard the video. Think about the angles and the shots and the lighting, and are they going to use video clips from real life, or are they going to be illustrating it with something a little bit more artsy? What types of visuals are they going to want? They're going to want to practice recording a voiceover and maybe choosing music to play low behind that voiceover. They're going to need to learn how to mix it all together. So it's more complex than a book trailer, maybe even a little more complex than a grammar or poetry video, or grammar or vocabulary video, because it involves interpretation. There are a ton of really cool models for visual poetry videos online. I'm thinking of a couple of examples. There's Amanda Gorman's Earthrise. There's Ada Limone's A Poem for Europa. I think the visual version of that is actually on the NASA channel, and it's just really unique. I'm linking those in the show notes. But you can also find so many more. This is a genre that is out there. And so students can explore and get ideas. They can watch these visual poems and sort of write down the craft moves from the mentor text and get inspiration for their own, and then create their own thing. Okay, next idea is really like a mini video project that you could use with your theater unit, any theater unit. I love live performance projects when it comes to theater units, which you know if you heard my episode about my amazing Shakespeare teacher at Pomona, who just was legendary for her performance project, and it made a huge impact on me. And then I did it with lots of classes, but you might not have time to do that. That project takes a really long time. It's like a week of rehearsals and then a full day of going around to watch the live scene performances. Of course, when I did in college, it was actually a full semester of practice. So it was our main project of the year. But anyway, if you don't have that kind of time and you want to build in some aspect of sort of bringing the theater to life, a really quick video performance of a crucial moment in a scene could be a fun way to do this. It's another way to get students out of their seats and acting, or at least figuring out how to interpret the scene through visuals. So here's my idea. Instead of just making it sort of scene performances on video, which is going to take just as long as the other project, I'm thinking you create these moment videos in which small groups isolate the most important 90 seconds of a scene and then create a video around it. So they read the scene, they're like, what is the absolutely essential bit of this, and how can we represent it on video? They could act it out, but it would be short. But they could also like voice over the dialogue or the speech and then mix in different visuals. Or they could do like a time lapse of the scene being acted out and then record audio over the top of that. Or they could do an animation, or they could do a collage of little tiny quick clips or whatever. It would be a chance for them to stretch their skills within the video platform while trying to interpret, this crucial moment of the scene in their own way. And then, of course, at the end, you can have this showcase of the moments. You can run them in order. A moment at the beginning of the play, the last part of the beginning, the first part of the middle, the second part of the middle. You get the idea. It would be like the video cliff notes of the play to watch all of these moments back to back. Okay, second to last. We're getting toward the end here. This one is complex, but also potentially really interesting and exciting if you have the time for it. Now, this all comes from a single mentor text that I have had the pleasure to watch, which is a stop motion animation of a personal essay. And so that's what I'm recommending here. What about the idea of trying stop motion animation videos to illustrate personal writing, whether it's a personal essay or a personal narrative? There is this really cool video online, which of course I am linking. It's called Enrio, and it's a young woman talking about this part of her culture that has had a profound impact on her. And she illustrates it in her essay by giving different examples of it from her own life and reflecting on it, just the way we would want students to do in a personal essay. But what I think really is going to bring it to life for students is the way she has used stop motion animation to illustrate it. And I don't know what it is, you guys, about stop motion animation video, but it just seems to be a really intriguing platform for kids. It's almost like magic, right? You just take all these quick pictures with these tiny movements of your props, and it turns into a movie. And this can be a really fascinating process. And I think especially for kids who maybe aren't as excited about the writing part, the idea of how they can bring it to life by stop motion animation can be really exciting. And you can kind of provide a variety of options. Maybe some kids want to focus more on the writing and just animate a little bit. And maybe other kids want to write a shorter piece and animate the whole thing. You can play around with that and provide some differentiation for different types of skills and interests. But I think this could be a really neat aspect of any personal writing project. Okay, finally, you could go all the way with a documentary project unit. If you are looking for a major project to define a season in your class, or maybe you're doing a multi-genre kind of modern media elective, a documentary project could be so cool. I spent a long time developing full curriculum for documentary project videos last year, and I had a blast. And I got really excited about this, but I know that not a lot of folks are going to have time for this sort of full-blown project. So I'm just going to talk about it a little bit here, and then you can always go further with it yourself, or maybe I'll come back and do a full podcast about it, like step by step later on. Shoot me a DM on Instagram if you want me to do that, and let me know. Anyway, with a documentary project, you can start with mentor text. There are a lot of really cool short documentaries available on YouTube. I'm putting in some examples in the full show notes you can check out. But the neat thing about this is you can show just very widely different short documentaries and let students be examining them for their craft moves. What are these documentarians doing? How are they cutting together different things to create their story, to create a compelling narrative? And then after you've sort of started to piece that out, students are really going to see it's way more complicated than they might have thought. I think the perception of video often for students is that there's like an introduction to an interview with a little bit of music, and then there's the interview with the footage of the interview, and then there's credits with some music. And it is nothing like that. When you really start to break it down, it's like intro music with 3 different cuts of B-roll shots, and then there's 4 seconds of talking head interview with interview audio, and then the interview audio continues while they cut away to 20 different B-roll shots, and then it fades into voiceover over B-roll, and then it's talking head again. And I mean, it changes so fast to keep the attention of the viewer, and it's really interesting. And then you can start to break it down in the unit to teach these different skills. That you can teach interview skills. You can teach the research piece that's going to allow them to create a documentary that's meaningful. And then you can teach skills like shooting B-roll. What does it mean to be like from different angles, to have different lighting? How do you record quality voiceover? How do you cut it in? Where can you find music that you can use? When should you use the music? How loud should the music and your sound effects be? And it's a matter of sort of creating this palette of interview, of voiceover, of B-roll, of talking head bits And then thinking, okay, I have all this. How do I put it together into a cohesive whole that tells my story and kind of makes my argument? And these are the skills of ELA, right? It's like when you've got 100 note cards in front of you and you're trying to figure out, how do I put this into a research paper? But instead, you have like these additional visual elements, and you're putting the ideas and the visual ideas all together into a story. And gosh, I just think students learned so much through a process like this, but it is complicated and it will take a long time. So I just kind of wanted to pave the way for thinking about this if you potentially have a class that would get really into this, that loves video, and you have some time where you could devote to it. It's exciting. Okay, my friends, so we're coming to an end. Let's do a quick wrap and look back over all these projects. We talked about a book trailer project, a grammar or vocabulary video series where students have a chance to teach each other. We talked about artistic poetry video projects that really focus on interpretation. We talked about trying moment videos with theater, where you have a chance to get some acting maybe or some visual interpretation, but quickly. We touched on stop motion animation video with personal essays. And finally, we talked about the big one, documentary project videos. I hope you're feeling excited to build in some video to your curriculum this year. Thanks so much for joining me today to talk about all these different video project ideas for your creative ELA classes. Until next time, take care of yourself and stay creative.